welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Turn the Page. I'm your host today, Jen, and today I am joined by the author of an absolutely adorable and informative and oh so fun book about crafting. It has given me so many wonderful ideas for the holidays, which are coming up. So this is an incredibly well-timed interview for us. Welcome. Could I ask you to introduce yourself and your book, please?
Hi, I'm Alexa Pedrero. I am the author of NIFTY GIFTY. It's a book where there's 20 different crafts to make that you can gift for your friends, yourself, because making crafts for yourself is always awesome. And it's just to explore your inner creativity. And in the book, I mentioned that even though some might think that they don't have a creative bone in their body, they do. You just have to unlock that part of yourself. And I feel like everybody is a creative in their own way, but in hopes of like making somebody inspired to create, like this book was born. So yeah.
And, that is my favorite thing about the book. I wrote down one of the lines that you wrote where you said, creativity is a gift that everyone has. And that really encapsulates for me what you were just saying, that this book really makes crafting accessible and it removes the things that might like intimidate people or make them feel like maybe this is too hard or it's too late to learn something new. It's very welcoming. And it's really nice to hear that that was one of your goals.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, because that was my main, I guess, thought or concern, like when I was trying to think of accessible crafts for like people who might be scared to start like maybe doing air dry clay that haven't picked up air dry clay ever in their lives. But like, oh, like people sometimes write off things that they can't do that they'll never do. And I wanted it to be like, no, you can. And it's like such a fun thing that can be taught and you can learn because I know sometimes my friends get frustrated, like, no, I don't want to do that because like I know I'll mess up or it'll look bad. I'm like, that's part of the process. You gotta just keep going. Just gotta try it.
100%, because I have been, in the middle of reading this book, I have been trying with some of my friends here at the library to learn crochet. And, it's really, really fun, but it's very, very hard. And I'm getting very frustrated with it. And I found that reading your book gave me a couple ideas for like, smaller projects, a little less time consuming, a little bit more room for play and error, and things like that. And I feel like it kind of gave me a creative boost when I was really doubting my own abilities.
Mhm. Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, crochet sounds awesome. I myself would love to get into either crocheting or knitting. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to really sit down and be patient with yourself when it comes to like crocheting and knitting. I think maybe clay could be maybe a tiny bit more accessible for like maybe even younger crowds too, because like I was babysitting one of my girls, Rebecca, and she was like, oh, like she was just starting to mold things. She was like, oh, actually, this is like quite easy. So I want it to be accessible for all age ranges as well. Like if I gave her some, crocheting stuff, she'll be like, no, this is too hard. So like, but there's also some more difficult crafts in the book as well that I was like, oh, so no, like people can try this and like if they're more I don't know, more crafty or like more into crafts and stuff, they can do like, for example, like the birthday cake one. I wouldn't necessarily say that one's amazing for a 12-year-old, but hey, if you're a crafty 12-year-old and you want to do that, you go ahead.
So I'm really curious about when the idea for the book arose, because if I understand correctly, you also highlight your crafts and crafting on TikTok. Is that right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I started making this gift making series on TikTok because the holidays were coming up. I think it was like 2022 that I was like, oh, I'll make this and like people like because sometimes for me I think like what can I make somebody? Because I can buy things all I want, but like I want to give something meaningful to my friends, family, and then I was like, oh, what if I make a series of like gift giving? So like things that are useful. So I remember I started out with making an air dry clay like brush rest. And that's like such a cool gift for like your artist friend or like somebody who's like been into watercoloring, painting, because it's such a, like a cute small gift that is very easy, I thought, and accessible. And that one blew up like day one, it blew up. And I was like, wait, people enjoy these ideas. I'm gonna keep going. And I made it a 30-day series where every single day I was like, okay, what would people like? What else could I make that could be accessible to everybody? Because I noticed in my analytics that it was such a wide range of people that were enjoying my crafting videos. So I was like, okay, how do I make this accessible? And I just kept going, and some videos like gained lots and lots of traction. Other videos were like enjoyed by a more niche crowd. But it was very rewarding to see. And then I got a message from Chronicle Books being like, "Hey, we really loved this idea. Would you like to make like a book about it?" And I was like, "Wow." At first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was spam. I was like, wow, I was like, I don't know, in my brain, I was like, what's going on? And then I messaged them back and they're like, no, like, yeah, we'd be very interested. We'd love your crafts. Originally, Dina was my editor then, and she was the one who reached out, which I'm still very grateful to Dina to this day. Because I think she got one of my videos on her free page, possibly, and that's how she found out. But yeah, it's been a while since then, but I'm glad I'm here at this point.
Cool.
Mhm.
So, what was your process like for choosing the crafts that would be featured in the book and for organizing them? Because you have some, all different sorts of craft, like you've mentioned, sculpting, there's some paper craft in there. How did you decide to, what was going to be in there and how to arrange it?
hmm Well, I again wanted to have crafts to the majority of the crafts to be very like simple and accessible to possibly first time crafters or also very enjoyable to people who are very familiar with crafting. So I got to brainstorming. I was experimenting different like methods and different like mediums of like, okay, well this would be fun if you just are in a mood to not get so messy with your hands. So we're gonna make like really awesome bookmarks. So all you have got to do is cut up strips of paper, get your favorite markers, possibly even make that into a crafting night with your girls. Like that's just fun watching a movie while making, I don't know, or even book club, like making a cute little bookmark. So I just started brainstorming, like I started gathering, making a list of ideas that I liked because I had like over 40 craft ideas that I had to narrow down into those 20 that made it into the book. And I was like asking my friends, like, what would you rather make? Like, I was asking my crafty friends and also my not so crafty friends. I was like, what would sound good to you to make, like, on your free time or as like a wind down? And they were all like, I took in votes from them. And I was like, oh, okay. And I tallied them up and I was like, okay, so this bookmark one is going to make it. A more complicated clay one did not make it. So I was like, okay. And then I also wanted to add slightly more complicated ones like the juice box picture holder. That one takes, I would say, a more like skilled person with like that is more familiar with clay or air dry clay. So I was like, this would be fun to like for the crafters who already know, and a challenge to those who want to attempt it. So things like that I thought about, and I finally narrowed it down to those 20. And I honestly, I think yes, we did put like difficulty levels and like being like, okay, well, so you if you want to be challenged or if you want something easier, you can tell by like the first page when you're looking at it. Because a lot of the time, you could look at a craft and be like, oh, that's easy. And then when you actually get down to do it, you're like, actually, what? But yeah, that was my process.
Oh, very interesting.
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite project in the book, or a favorite form? Do you feel most comfortable in clay or in paper craft or in any of the other forms you explore here?
I definitely feel like I'm more equipped in making air dry clay stuff. I've always loved like ceramics. If I had a kiln, if I could have a kiln in my apartment, I totally would, but I feel like my landlord would hate me. But yeah, I just love clay things. But overall, I think it is my favorite, but I'm just a crafty person. Like I think I've been since I was very, very little. My parents told me that like I would pretend to like be like drawing and like writing and like narrating stuff and it was just a bunch of like squiggles. And I was like that pretty much sums me up to this day because like I just try to make it up as I go. But yeah, I do have a slight more love for like ceramics and stuff because I just love making and molding things with my hands, and I think that that brings me the most joy.
Yeah, that's the one that I am the most excited to get into personally. This book kind of came into my life for another reason. I had such a great time because so a couple years ago for Christmas, a friend had gifted us a boot that held matches and that you could strike the matches on.
Mhm.
And one of our cats broke it like last year, and I'm like, oh man, that stinks. And I read your book and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like an extraordinarily similar craft in here where I could make a little cowboy boot where you could strike your matches. And so
Mhm.
it was really empowering to be like, oh, I don't have to keep like looking at, Googling,
Uh-huh.
where to buy this anymore. Now I can
Right.
make it. So
Yeah. And customize it and make it your own. That's why I also included little tidbits in there. And I was like, you can follow my instruction, or you can do something, you can build it up similarly, but also customize it to like whatever you might like. Because crafting is like about everybody's own interpretation. So, like, let's say your dad really wants a boot mat, like striker thing, and you don't want to color it pink. You can just literally do any boot design, anything. So that's why it was important for me to include because sometimes people who aren't very familiar with like the process, they're like, oh, I have to do it exactly this way. But I wanted to open the door and be like, no, you can actually customize it, make it your own. You can do your own thing because crafting is like creativity coming to you. You don't have to follow it to a T, you know.
is there a project in there that had the biggest learning curve for you or the biggest learning opportunity?
hmm I would say, even though I'm well, I guess I'm very experienced in like clay stuff. The juice box one was even challenging for me because I was like, how can I make it to where they can see all the pieces laid out and then they can be like, okay, I can cut this out of clay and then I can build it. Because it took a lot of trial and error when it came to, I guess, the building blocks of the juice box. Because I was like, okay, so they can visualize all the pieces and then I can teach them how to attach them. At first I was like, I'll just like make a box. And I'm like, no, I have to walk them through how to roll out the clay, how to cut out each piece, how to make it like this is the one craft that I would say following the building process is important, but the customization process is up to you because the measurements I had to measure stuff. Like I usually don't measure a whole lot when it comes to clay stuff, but for this I was like I do want it to be very like structured box and it could actually look like a juice box. So that one was a bit tricky. I think that was the trickiest one to figure out for the book.
Nice. That's a
Mhm.
great segue into my question about the art and working with your photographer because it's a visually stunning book too. It is so beautiful and so colorful. What
Yeah.
was it like working with your photographer and also, the process of that you were just talking about, like laying out your steps and photographing them in a way that makes your process clear?
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I mean, Andrea was incredible. It was such a privilege to get to work with her. Seriously. She arrived here from San Diego and I was like, "Hey." She came in through my apartment door. She was like, "Okay, we gotta clear out this," because at the time I had just moved into this apartment and we had just got our couch and stuff, but she was like, "Okay, we gotta set up." She was very like willing to work with my messiness, and she was like, okay, you have to bring out your desk that's right here into the living room and we have to set up we set up an entire photo studio dedicated to this crafts for 3 days. So it was like, okay, we essentially had to make up a shot list on the spot of like, okay, we have to see which crafts, because at the time I think I was like it was a bit of crunch time, so some crafts weren't done that we had to shoot on the very last day. So I was like, okay. And also having, I guess, each step ready. So the raw clay for those steps, but also having the finished version for the later on photo shoot. So it was a lot of planning in that way of like, okay, so we're gonna show you rolling out your clay, and she took photos of that. And then from that clay slab, she would set up the camera and she's like, okay, now we have to get a picture of all of the elements of the juice box all cut up and all in frame and with the nice color background. And it had to look, very I guess aesthetically pleasing for the book. And I think we achieved that. But yeah, it was definitely such a cool process seeing like being firsthand in a photo shoot for a book. I work with other photographers in the DFW area and I always just assist. but I've never been a part of it. So it was just very, very cool to get to do it for my own book. I kept like zoning out while we were doing it. I was like, wow, we are really working on this for my book. And I was just so grateful and for everything that Andrea did to make it look incredible. Like, I just really appreciate her for all of that.
Yeah, it's like really gorgeous photography, but also very informative and clear. Like it makes
Mhm.
these steps very, very clear and accessible. And I guess, yeah, those are your hands in all the photographs. You're actually
Yes.
doing the crafting there.
Yes, 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 they are. And I was like, when I finally got that physical copy of the book in my hand, I showed my mom, like, that's my hand. I'm like crafting. And in some parts, I think for other images throughout the book, I think Andrea, like, she's the one with the blue nail polish, actually. So I'm the one with the pink nail polish. She's the one with the blue nail polish. So she filled in some images. And I thought that was really cute that there's like some variation, but yeah, it's most like for the steps, the crafting steps, it's mostly my hands.
Oh, I love that. So, do you think you'll write another book? I guess it sounds like it was enjoyable and fun. Like, do you feel like you have more books in you?
Oh, definitely. And I would love to, honestly. If the opportunity arises, I would love to write another book because now I didn't feel like I was thrown into writing my first book, but there was definitely a big learning curve because I I remember in like college when they would tell me like, oh, write like a 7-page essay. I'd be like, oh no, I have to like sit down for an entire day and like focus and like I like I told my mom, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna word vomit on a Google Doc and I'm just going to go at it and pick out the parts that I want to include and, dissect it. And it was just that part of the writing process because I was like, I want to make it cute, relatable, open to every age. I want to have references on there that 25-year-olds would get, but also 15, 12-year-olds would think is funny. I really thought about that part and I did struggle when it came to like I did hit a roadblock. I was like, how do I make this cute intro for this craft without sounding too cheesy? Or, like, and cheesiness is sometimes I adore cheesiness, but sometimes I was like, I have to like I know, I just wanted to be perfect. And that's also me being a perfectionist. So I was like, I can't get too much in my head. So I feel like now having that long experience of the writing process of a book that's now published, I feel like I'm way more equipped and I would love to. I was like, I want to be thrown back in, like, throw me back in. But I mean, yeah, I would be definitely open to the opportunity if it arises again.
Cool. Well, I do hope that happens because I want to learn more crafts. It was such a
Mhm.
delight, and I am so excited I got to read it. And I'm definitely going to be checking out your TikTok. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your book and your time with us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly been a joy.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, listeners. Holiday season is starting, so you're going to want to get your hands on this book. The book itself would make a beautiful gift, but then all of the objects inside it will also make beautiful gifts. So it gives you so many options. So check out Nifty Gifty Mini Crafts with Major Charm. You're not going to regret it. All right, thanks for joining us. It is now time to close this chapter. We'll see ya.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.